AITA for kicking my husband out during my family's Christmas party? I, 33F, and my husband, 34M, have been married for 8 years. We have 2 children. The oldest is our 12-year-old daughter, whom we adopted when she was 10, and our 6-year-old son. Despite the age gap, our daughter and son are best friends. She has always been a happy, sweet, and intelligent girl, and so is our son. My husband seemed to favor our son more, but I chose to ignore it and take care of both children equally. Recently, I started feeling nauseous in the mornings, my periods were late, and I had back pains. I decided to take a pregnancy test, which came out positive. At my family's Christmas party, while we were eating turkey, I announced the pregnancy. Everyone was ecstatic about the news because my parents always wanted a big family. My husband was happy too, but then he said, I hope we have a daughter to complete the family because we only have a boy, and that girl we have is just an orphan. After he said that, I went silent, and everyone else did too. I saw my daughter looking down sadly. I love my daughter deeply, and I knew my husband was sometimes rude to her, but my son always defended her. This time, I knew I had to defend her myself. I immediately responded, what do you mean by orphan? I didn't scream, but I was angry and frustrated that my husband didn't respect or acknowledge our daughter as his. He replied, she is not my daughter. We only adopted her because you saw her in the orphanage while we were planning to have our son. She is our daughter whether you like it or not, I retorted. I felt a surge of anger at his words. He shot back, you only acknowledge her as our daughter, not me. Horrified by his statement, I stood up and said, fine then, you're out of this party and out of my house, whether you like it or not. This statement was impulsive, but I don't regret it. I had to stand up for my daughter while everyone else remained silent. Then my mother spoke up, honey, you can't do that. He is right, she is not your daughter, she is an orphan. I froze, horrified by what my mother said. Everyone defended my husband, and my daughter left the room crying silently. Everything was a mess. I responded, if you don't respect my daughter, then you've lost your own daughter. I then took my son and daughter and left the party. We took an Uber home, and I packed my husband's things, putting them in a suitcase outside. After 2 hours, my husband arrived back home, and we immediately had an argument while the kids were upstairs comforting each other. I finally said, you're out. Get the fuck out of my house until you realize you disrespected our daughter. He reluctantly left. After he left, in our family group chat, my relatives told me to forgive him and let him back home to see his daughter who will be born soon. I replied, I never said it would be a daughter, and I'm not taking him back into my household until he realizes what he said was disrespectful to my daughter. I'm thinking of divorce, but I'm not sure. So, I have to ask, AITA?